The transmission damage model has also been fixed. The AFD1D3 crew survivability has been improved. Well, you need to take away its hull break. That'll fix that. The Belfast, the armoring of the deck, barbettes, and traverses has been fixed. Additional longitudinal armored bulkheads in the main caliber shell storage has been corrected. Main caliber shells and charges position has been corrected, and the first stage ammunition storage for the main caliber guns has been removed due to the direct supply of shells from the storage to the turret. 4-inch gun shell storage has been added. Then those two, that's to everybody who says I talk too slow. I can talk fast, I just decide not to. The HMS Arethusa, the shell storage armoring and position has been fixed, and the Brooklyn and the Helena, the armoring has also been fixed, and the Furitaka, armoring fuel tanks, elevators, and shell storage all have been fixed. We're going to have to check them out when it comes to live just to see what all that means, but I'm sure it will only be beneficial to those vehicles. The Hipper and the Princess Eugenie clarified traverse bulkheads, 20mm longitudinal and internal armor. Don't give them more armor, goddamn. The K2, they've corrected its armor. Holes have been fixed. Okay. So, holes fixed, job done. The 1936 Mob, they changed the size of the fuel tanks, an elevator in the bow, and added elevators at the stern. Ooh, I've got to see that. I really love the X-rays on the ships. I think the X-rays are really beautiful to look at. And the MGB-61, the HMS Arethusa, the Dido, the Fairmile 332, and the SGB, the armor on the secondary weapons have been separated, so they're not one conglomerate. And the Dido, they've changed the thickness of the armored belt, traverses the shape of the armored deck, added missing elements, ammunition magazines volumes have been clarified, so the Dido should be more survivable now. Good stuff. We got the Project 7U and the Strojny and the Tashkent, so the top rank or the top BR Soviet destroyers. The physical parameters have been changed to correct the maximum roll. Fair enough. It would be nice if they give them better torpedoes, but hey ho, off we go. The Project 159 and the Project 35, the beam width at elevation has been increased, and the FOOTH radar. So that is, of course, the radar those two machines have, which is actually a pretty good radar. Now, I've used it quite a lot and enjoyed using it as well. The Leander, they've removed the first stage shells for the main guns. Oh, the poor Leander. Now we have some model changes for the naval stuff as well. So for the MPK-122A and the MPK-163, the mismatch of the magazine ammunition with the description of the vehicle card has been fixed. That'll be a bit odd. The Kia Shimo, a bug with the displaying and the X-ray view of the 25mm turrets has been fixed, and the Carl Galster, the X-ray model in the torpedo unit, has been fixed as well. The Sendai makes a return, with placing of the display of the X-ray bomb view being fixed, and the Isuzu, the X-ray view model of the torpedoes being fixed. The Suzuya and also the Megami, the model of the aircraft has been changed, so we're going to have a look at what those aircraft are. I am kind of interested to see, because it's kind of a nice little model addition, you know, to the vehicles themselves to see what they are. And then the Phelps, the X-ray view of the stern main caliber turret has been fixed. Good stuff for the Phelpsy. The Fox, the fixed X-ray model of the 40mm turret. The Hawkins has a fixed model of the destroyed conditions of the turrets, which is adjusted for scale. Then you got the Dido, changed the appearance of the ammunition magazines and X-ray. You got the 7U and the 7U Strojny. The Tashkent, the initial positions of the camera has been changed. Wonderful stuff. Now, for the interface, we have the Battle, the D-37, torpedo lead marker for the stern torpedo launch has been fixed. The Dido, the bug in the damage indication in the hood panel, where other elements of the ship were rotating around the bow main caliber turrets, has been fixed. That's a bit of an odd one. The Class K, the X-ray model of the stern anti-aircraft system has been fixed. Fairmile C, 322, or 332, the X-ray of the guns and the units of the main caliber turrets have been fixed. So it's nice to see that they've fixed that stuff. I feel like some of these should have been in interface as well, since, you know, they were parts of the X-ray model stuff. Anyway, moving on to other. I love it how this got its own part, and I'm glad that it did. The Cannon N-Boot K2 respawn location has been moved to the Destroyer respawn location. Praise the Lord! Praise the Lord, for He has granted us this wonderful day. God damn, the K2 can go and live over there somewhere instead of the bloody small boat spawn. All of them can, and luckily, once we go through a bit more of this, you'll see that they do. But thank God the K2 is being put with the destroyers where it belongs. And yes, I know there's going to be a lot of K2 players who are very annoyed by this and how, oh no, it doesn't match up against other destroyers. What are you to do? Go, right. As a person who's had to go through the British Clemson, the 2 American Clemsons, and pretty much all of the crud destroyers from the Soviets, and also some of the early German ones, screw off. Like, I honestly don't care about your bloody worries about the K2. Go play those machines first, and then tell me how they... if you want your K2 in the small boat spawn, so should those little shits, right? Simple as that. But praise the Lord, K2 has been moved. Now, the economy and research, let's move on to it. So a bug where the classes of aircraft didn't match the specific tags of the vehicles has been fixed. Because of this, the aircraft had an incorrect reloading time, respawning scores were calculated incorrectly, and other related parameters as well. At the same time, the vehicle cards have been corrected with the right tags and specification of the aircraft. Respawn points for the specified aircraft have not been changed. So this will just make it easier when it comes to doing stuff like battle tasks and stuff for certain things. So certain machines have been changed to attackers. So the A26C45, the PV2D, the P108A, the Grizzly, and the Tandem Mai have all been changed to attackers. Bombers wise, the 2 Kingfishers, the F1M2, B18A, B, B17B, and A, and also the B3C are all now bombers. So that means that, you know, doing some bomber missions will be a bit easier. And then we have changing to fighters, the Firebrand. Is the Firebrand really a fighter? I mean, okay. The Firefly? Oh dear, we're going downhill. So the Firebrand and the Fireflies are now fighters. The Tempest Mark V Vickers P? You're telling me that's a fighter? Surely that must be an attacker. Surely. The Hurricane Mark IV, literally a modification that was designed to be an attacker. The Mosquito FB Mark 17 or 18, a Mosquito which was designed for anti-ship stuff, operations. Why is that now a fighter? The Bow Fighters, Mark 6C, Mark 21 and Mark 10, mainly used for maritime patrol. The HE219A7, I suppose that kind of makes sense. The Firecrest, I mean... If you're going to put the Firebrand as a fighter, I suppose you put the Firecrest as a fighter since that was supposed to replace it. Then the ME410s. I mean, I can understand the 410s, the 219, maybe the Firecrest, all the rest. I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. I think those should be either called attackers instead of fighters. Change to light bombers. So both the... Wait a second. It says that the OS2Us were changed to bombers, and now they're back to light bombers. Okay, so the Kingfishers are actually labeled as light bombers, I'm guessing, instead of just bombers, and then the F1M2 as well. Classes of the following ground vehicles have been corrected? Yeah, but to what? Come on, tell me. Would be nice. Or more information as power and all that good stuff. The IT-1 and the Honey 1 and the AMR-90. I'm guessing the AMR-90 is a light tank. This will be some kind of tank destroyer, and this will be a tank destroyer too. I mean, we'll have to see when it comes to the game, obviously, since they haven't given it us. And this is another piece of information which is just wonderful to see. So the new class for Naval is Frigate, and they've added it. It is divided into the corresponding groups, Frigate and Gunboat. These ships will be able to respawn in the missions only on the respawn points for destroyers or larger ships. Praise the Lord, because this is so good. This basically means that there will be a place for 3-3 machines and 3-7 machines which are not, you know, just the big bruisers which can one-shot people through the hull break mechanic. Instead, there will be a reason to take out your 3-3 Americans, to take out your 3-3 British with your Brave class. There's stuff like the Albatross. It's just nice to see that they're getting a little bit of breathing room. And the ones which are moving to the destroyers or larger ship spawns, the Project 159 and 35, the Chikugo, the Isuzu, the Sionen, the Kern F220, the Ikazuchi, the Groza, the K2, and the River class. The only ones there which I feel like are getting hard done by are the Chikugo and also the Ikazuchi. The Sionen maybe, but all the rest definitely should go and spawn with the destroyers. There's also Swedish aviation now become available for everyone. So if you haven't been able to get, the Swedish well, not wins, but if you haven't got access to the Swedish open beta, now you will be able to get access to it. So have fun with Sweden Aviation. It's pretty fun. I've enjoyed it so far, and they've also adjusted the requirements for the opening ranks. Customization-wise, test drive for the Chinese and Swedish ground vehicles has been added, thank Christ. Achievements for Chinese and Swedish aircraft have also been added. Lovely stuff, and also hopefully medals for everyone. There is also a bunch of awards. New orders and medals for Sweden have been added. Hell yeah. More stuff to work towards, which take your mind off the grind. New titles for receiving Swedish awards. Orders and medals have been added. Good stuff. Lovely to see. And now a bunch of game mechanic stuff. So the number of victory points received for damage of destruction of AI-controlled vehicles whilst playing helicopters has been reduced by 2.5 times. Now it's on the level of ground vehicles. Oh dear. So, first nerf to helicopters. Second one, the difficulty setting for tanks and naval missions in the test drive, sail in ground vehicles and naval vessels has been implemented in accordance with the difficulty setting that are used in random battles. Previously for all, the settings for air battles were used. Well, that's good. That's how it should be. Making the test drives a little bit better for everybody makes a lot more sense. In ground forces and naval realistic battles for aircraft, automatic engine start and automatic control of flaps and landing gear similar to Aviation RB has been added. Nice. Alright, that's good. That's how it should be. In ground vehicle realistic, the cost of spawning helicopters has changed. Without ATGM, 280 to 350 SP, depending on the BR, and with ATGM, 480 to 600 SP, depending on the BR. Now, this basically means that if you have a helicopter which has access to ATGMs, you cannot first spawn it. You are not able to. 480 is too many SP points in order to be able to first spawn it. Now, there's been a lot of talk, and decisions about this. Basically, a lot of people being very happy about this, and a lot of people not being very happy about this. It seems to be a very divisive topic for a lot of individuals, so I'm going to throw my hat into the ring. I think this is a great idea. I really do, especially with the new implementation, where what they've done is they've made it so using rockets is a lot easier for helicopters, using their cannons is a lot easier for helicopters, and I tell you what, as a person who has been slowly but surely getting into top tier, very, very slowly through multiple different nations, it is incredibly infuriating going up and trying to play properly and then out of nowhere just getting pinged on the map by a helicopter. And since, you don't have parts for FPE, or because, you don't have anything which can deal with said helicopter, I'm looking at Chinese top tier. I've been playing a lot of 8.0 there and also been going up in BRs, and whenever a helicopter turns up, I just die because I don't have an AA that can deal with it. It's as simple as that. So it's just been one of those very interesting things where I am very happy for this change. Hopefully it means that a lot of people will stop complaining about the issue that helicopters cause in top tier battles. And also the other thing as well when it comes to it is something that has to be said. Now, maybe we can now start talking about helicopter endurance confrontation mode and trying to improve that in the event section. So helicopter players can go there, they can get isolated away from everyone else, and they can go play their part of the game, which never should have existed in the game in the first place, because as I've said for many times, and will continue to say it, helicopters in War Thunder are a boom or bust scenario. They are either overpowered or they are terrible. And at this moment in time, the most of them that we have in the game are terrible. But there are a few which are causing issues, mainly the KA-50. There is going to be a bunch of helicopters that are added next patch, which are going to make helicopters overall overpowered again. And one of the things I personally don't want to deal with, and I'm sure a lot of people don't want to deal with either, is a lot of the screaming from the ground forces individuals who want to actually play ground forces instead of play, can I survive this helicopter from 10k away, because I don't have an ADAT, right? So we'll have to see, how it goes. I think personally it's a good decision. As somebody who really doesn't like the way that helicopters are implemented, so yeah, I think it's positive in many different ways. One, on most ground vehicles, when using the camera from tank gunner sights, the reduction of the sights and the main gun axis and the vertical and horizontal axis has been implemented. The following guns targeting distance values has been chosen: 400, 800, and 1200 meters, depending on the ballistics of the gun and battle ranges. On most main battle tanks equipped with laser rangefinders, gun targeting will be corrected when measuring the range that cannot be less than 200 meters. Gun targeting isn't implemented for self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, ground vehicles where the main type of armament is ATGMs, and vehicles with symmetrical placing of cannons, for example M50 Onto. So that's kind of nice. That basically just means that guns will be more accurate overall when lined up with the sight, which you would hope would happen anyway. In naval battles, the player's destroyed vehicle will remain until the end of the session. Well then, that's an interesting one, and it's also one that a lot of people have been asking for in ground battles for a long time. There's only one issue I can see with this. So I like the idea. I really like the idea of having just a bunch of carcasses everywhere that have just been destroyed. There is one thing though. There are a lot of naval maps in War Thunder which have incredibly open spawns, not especially like boat-on-boat combats, but plane-on-boat. So what ends up happening is somebody gets in a 264, or someone gets in a P8, or someone gets in something similar, and if you just crack like one or two destroyers in a spawn, you could easily bog down that spawn very quickly. So as long as they've made sure that at the start of the battle you're able to phase through stuff and get away from these, dead ships. Otherwise, people are going to be spawning on top of already dead ships and not going to be able to move. So as long as that's sorted out, should be fine. And I'm sure they've thought about it. New mechanics for survivability in naval battles. In cases where the number of combat crew is reduced below the limit, 5% more than the minimum crew, it is no longer possible to allocate crew to the battle for survivability, i.e. to pump water, shore up holes, put out fires, and repair. However, the vessel will remain under the control of the player and may continue to fire weapons until completely flooded. So pretty much if you if you were at, let's say, 4.9%, the crew just says, sod it, we can't repair this thing, keep firing until we go down, let's go down with the ship. That's very heroic, if nothing else. But my god, that will be fun to watch. Like, basically the ship will be going down, 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 and then the crew will just keep just firing all the guns, all the 25s going crazy. A bunch of graphical stuff, so the visual effects for engine fire, general fire, ammunition fire on all ground vehicles and vessels has been updated and improved. Sparks and refractions on high temperature air have been added to all the main effect of fire. Added an animation on the glow from the fire. The fire system in vessel sections has been improved. The fire now occurs precisely in the section that has been damaged. Particle lighting has also been improved. I agree. On the dev server, the lights, the lighting effects and the engine fires, or just the fires in general, look really, really nice. It's a really good job. And, on top of all the sparks and stuff that they did last update, looks really lovely. They fixed an issue with the flickering effects. I had a few flickering stuff on the dev server in the hangar. We'll have to see if that carries on to live. Now a bunch of new sounds. So new sound events for all cannons on ground vehicles except a few rapid fire guns have been created. That's true, but a lot of high caliber guns sound exactly the same, so hopefully that gets changed. New sound events for explosion sounds have been created. If you haven't heard it yet, go and find a dev server video where somebody shoots down an aircraft and they're low to the ground and they're near the, they're near to the site where the plane hits the ground. You hear this very, very physical thump, and boom, it's really nice, and I can't wait to hear it in the live server. The sound events of the firing of the naval cannons has been reworked. they sound terrible. What they've done is, it seems like they've taken the sound assets from tanks and just added them onto ships. So if you have a 152mm in a tank and then you add it onto a ship, they'll sound exactly the same. Now this doesn't work in ships because the guns don't overlap properly when it comes to their sounds. So what you hear is a bunch of like 6-shooter revolvers firing over each other. It's really not good. The system of the formation and management of the sound events of the firing of the ground and naval cannons has been reworked. Right, you need to let overlapping sounds happen. Right now, when it comes to the guns don't have overlapping sounds. And that just makes them sound horrific. A system to simulate speed of sound propagation in the environment has been added. System is optional and can be activated through settings. It is disabled by default. So this actually gives you a realistic option that you can add into the game. Basically what it's talking about there is, you know how, a lot of people have talked about how you shouldn't hear the artillery shell coming in, you should only hear the explosion, and then maybe afterwards you should then hear the shell coming in. So they've added that in. So the speed of sound is actually taken into account. Now this is an option if you want extra realism, but if you actually want to hear what's going on properly, you can just turn it off. So I think that's the best thing. I'm really happy they added it in, and also I'm really happy that they've made it optional, because obviously it's nice to have a bunch of historic stuff. There's a lot of stuff I run in War Thunder that makes the game more historical or realistic instead of competitive, but I can understand sound is a very important, sound is a very important thing when it comes to being able to play this game properly. So altering that in any way is going to be, a big no-no. So it's nice to see they gave people the option. Then, another iteration of the sound project resources optimization has been done, which is obviously good. The Fmod sound engine has been switched to the synchronous operation mode. All calculations will take place in the current game cycle without delaying the next ones. Right, so once again, does that mean overlapping sounds or not? Because that's still a complaint that I personally have. Unique music themes has been added to Swedish Hangar. Good stuff. I hope it's a bunch of yodeling. Sound events for the rain for ground and naval vehicles, which are taking into account the distance to the surface of the vehicle and the position of the camera from the third-person view mode or the gunner, have been created. I really need to hear that. That sounds actually really cool. Sound events for the crew dialogues of the Swedish aircraft and ground vehicles have been updated. Lovely stuff. Good to hear the Swede boys. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait until we get stuff like sound mods in the game. Would love to have the Swedish chef. It would be really fun just, hearing him. It'd just be really funny. And some controls. So automatic locking of the vertical guidance of cannons whilst holding the brake has been added. Also, during the time of the command short stop, this lock significantly reduces the swinging of the gun barrel after a stop on most tanks in the game. So this will actually mean that the gun should be able to get a little bit stable quicker instead of it flop all over the place. So this will mean that going from a moving situation to a stopping situation, it'll be easier to fire once you've stopped, or it'll take less time for your gun to get, stabilized. The ability to select the shooting mode from one cannon or from all cannons in the same turret has been added, can be activated in the control settings. Oh, well, that's nice. More control for the player is always better. And the last thing is the possibility to select the color scheme for the thermal imaging camera has been added to the ground vehicles. There are three different colors available: black, green, and red. So I tried these out. Obviously the black one is good, it's the normal one. The green one, I have real issues with green, like the night vision in game I have issues with, so that wasn't great. Red worked pretty well though for me. I thought red looked pretty nice, so it's about what your tastes are, and at least from that point of view, it's nice to see some more customization. So as you can see, there's no real negatives here. Obviously, the only one that could be taken as a negative is the helicopter stuff, but we'll have to see how that plays out in the future. I think right now, when we look at this update, there's a lot of really cool stuff coming. There's a lot of top tier stuff coming. It might be worth, maybe in a few months' time, once again talking about research reductions for certain vehicles, but at least for now, update 1.97 is looking very, very fun indeed. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I just want to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Daniel Stanton, Jay Wilt, John Ryman, Martinez, Super Cacti, Trigger Hippie, Eugens Terry, and also Elove Goat and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.